Hello, and welcome to
Hello.
astromantics. How are you feeling, Danny?
Oh my God, I am feeling so excited. Thank you so much for having me here today.
I am uber excited to have you on today. Danny Santos, you're an astrologer as well.
Yes, yes. I actually have my own podcast called the Astro Daddy Podcast,
Yeah.
and I've been studying astrology for 20 years. So,
So
yeah.
you've got long-term experience.
Yeah. And I've developed like a spiritual life coaching program around astrology. I work with ayahuasca and shamanism, and I serve astrology. I serve ayahuasca and then teach people about astrology.
Oh my God, is there anything better?
I mean, I'm living the life of my dreams, taking, shamanism, astrology, healing people. It doesn't get much better than that.
No, I completely agree with that. And I think that's what I love about astrology so much is it has the capacity to look deeply at someone, right? Really deeply and then be like, "Okay, here's the elephant in your room." Right?
Ooh, say no more. Bring it on.
But yeah, no, I love astrology for deep healing, deep inner healing, compassion for other people who don't have the same chart as we do,
Mhm.
right? You can be all, oh, that's why they're an asshole. Just kidding.
I mean, if you can point out somebody's shortcomings or their traumas or shadows, it does kind of help with excusing people or pardoning people a little bit.
Yes, yes. Or being like, oh, via my filter, that's an asshole move. Via their filter, they don't see it that way,
Mhm.
right? Like, so it's kind of cool to be like, oh, this is why. Anyway, so I love astrology.
Yeah, I love it too, and I love the ability to be able to look into the stars to see the personality and the psyche, and also for my purposes, I view the birth chart as a diagnostic tool.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
like using it to heal. I read people's birth charts, and then we go into the ayahuasca ceremony. We already kind of have an intention built in.
Right. And so people coming to ayahuasca would definitely then also be into wanting to have that connection, right? Looking for that fuck yeah connection.
Absolutely. I mean, my basically my life's work is combining the astrology and the ayahuasca to create what I call the medicine of the cosmos. So it's
Yeah.
like ayahuasca being the medicine, but the cosmos also holding their medicine, and like each sign of the zodiac has strengths and weaknesses and healing that can be done.
Totally. I love it.
Oh,
Well, let's look at your chart and see what makes you you.
thank you, and thank you again for having me, Lacey.
Hex yeah, you got it, Danny. Every day. Okay, boom. So I use whole sign. I also have it in Placidus, I think, as well.
Okay.
So there is that, which is like really good. Bam.
So when I read, I'm glad to hear it from this point of view because I normally read from equal sign houses, and then I do equal house system. So you're giving me a perspective, like I might learn something new hearing it from a different point of view.
No, it's totally real. It's like art astrology, right? It's like different astrologers are kind of different artists. They will render the native, the person, but some do it more like watercolorish or
Yes.
photorealism, right? And
Well, and
so,
what I tell
mhm.
people all the time is like you can look, it's more versatile if you know both. You
Yes,
know, there's not
yes,
one that's necessarily better than the other. It's just like you said, you paint with watercolors, maybe I use gouache.
gouache, right? Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, so I have yours pulled up whole sign. I do whole sign just because it's like super old, and as an Aquarius sun, I'm like, oh my god, give me the history, right?
Yes, I
Give
do
me
appreciate whole sign a lot. I know that's Hellenistic astrology is based in it.
yeah, when I hear equal signs, I think of like Britain and like the School of Astrology in Britain, right?
Yes,
Is that where you learned or where you
it's something. So maybe you know the YouTuber Jewel Mayberry.
do I?
So
Probably not. I mean, if I saw a
teaches.
face, I'd be all, oh.
So I've done a few sessions with her, and I studied pretty extensively, watching her content and just kind of learning from her, and even being in her group on Facebook. So I feel like I kind of adopted that because I started watching her content probably like 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just something that stuck with me.
Yeah, right. Just eat it up. And that's kind of how it seems to be with astrologers, right? Like something vibes more than others. Vedic astrology scares the crap out of me. It's
I
so
don't understand it a lot. I just Vedic is totally outside. But I do use their kind of energy with the North and South node, the dragon's
yes.
head, dragon's tail. I focus a lot on the nodes in my sessions.
Oh my God, you would think something's really interesting then, or I'll give you a little tidbit about my chart and your chart and how my North Node plays in with something very specific in your chart.
Oh, so we've got a little soul contact going.
We do, it's totally a thing. I'll tell you
Yeah.
about it. So,
Oh,
like,
okay.
so this is you. Hello, Danny. And hello, Pisces, everything.
Yeah, it's
Do you
very
not
Pisces.
cry? When do you not cry?
Yeah, you know, the Capricorn rising, I might look cool as a cucumber on the outside, but
yeah, on the inside.
yeah, and then I got Mars in Cancer too. So.
I know that Mars in Cancer is a moody bitch. We all know it.
And it's true.
Yeah. My husband is a Mars in Cancer, and
Oh,
so
you know.
oh, I know that
God.
moody. That's okay. I have a Venus in Pisces, and she goes, "It's okay."
Oh, I love that Venus and Pisces
Yeah.
sensibility.
Yeah, she sits right on your Siri here, pretty much.
Oh, so you can bring so much gentleness to a lot of my pain.
Very much that, right? That's
Yes.
very much it. But yes, Sun, Moon, Pisces. This tells me that you definitely came up from like a background that has some kind of spirituality or animal work or music, right? Like your local community growing up had to have been spiritual in some way.
Well, I grew up in a Catholic conservative Cuban household.
So it was like religious.
Yes, very religious. I went to
Mhm.
Catholic middle school, Catholic high school. I was the star of like all of the, plays in high school. My senior year, I was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast. And
Oh my God, I was Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
oh my God, look at us. Look at us. And the first time I ever felt like I was good at something was when I joined the high school band and I started playing the trumpet and I won like the best beginner trumpet player. And at that local community, I joined the choir, became president of the choir in high school. I was in band, I did the arts, theater, like constantly, that's my comfort zone. That's what I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Like that is very Pisces, right?
Yeah.
And so of course you're the star, right? Of
especially
all
the
things.
third house.
I know, right? Communication. Here's the other thing that's really nice. You have Mercury here in Pisces too, right? And Mercury doesn't really give verbal words exactly in Pisces, right? It's more of a let me show you.
Yes.
Let's do interpretive dance music to it.
Yeah. Well, because my South Node is in Gemini, I think I'm also taking on a lot of the Gemini qualities of like being good with words and literature and analyzing things and maybe thinking too much about things.
So
But it's like another big thing is once I graduated high school, then I started like going to every single coffee shop in Metro Detroit, playing at every single coffee shop, and I write songs, I sing. So it's very Mercury and Pisces, writing and singing.
Yeah. So that my best friend in high school growing up has a Mercury in Pisces, and she's always playing guitar at some local spot, just her and a guitar singing her songs,
That's it.
Yes. Yes. I also grew up in a very like religious household as well. And I always had a super intense connection with Cosmos. I would have said it was God and Jesus for sure at the time. But then I traveled, and then when I realized other cultures,
Yes.
right, I went, oh my God, I'm not right. It's all connected, right?
Well, and you have that Venus in Pisces, so like just the way that, first of all, I understand Venus to be not only things that you express, but also what you're attracted to yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
You like the spiritual things of life, and to learn about all of the different spiritualities and cultures, like it's a no-brainer for you.
No, and it's in my 12th house, so it's also like extra. So She's also kind of an enemy to me, right? It means
Mhm.
I love my enemies. What's an enemy? I don't understand you, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
I
that makes
can't
sense.
I can't stop because I can't not know that I'm seeing with my perspective, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. But yes. So adores different cultures, adore spiritual practices of different cultures. I adore oneness, right? Pisces loves that oneness with everything,
Oh my
right?
God, story of my life. Ayahuasca shamanism. Like,
Hello. Right? Yeah, you're doing what connects. Have you ever experimented with like mycelium mushrooms and
Mhm.
yeah, psilocybin?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've done some guided mushroom journeys. I've guided other people through those kinds of journeys. I've microdosed extensively. So when I went to the psychedelic conference in Los Angeles, everybody there, it was like 80% were either Sagittarius or Pisces.
Oh, bet Jupiter. Everybody's like up
Yes, they're all like, let's expand our mind.
there. In the most spiritual way, right? Ooh, and then whatever you learn, you have to teach, right? That
Yep.
Sagittarius is like, let me share the good news.
Yes, I love that. I haven't heard that before. But
Oh,
obviously the teacher, but it's like I
mhm.
haven't heard that. Let me share the good news. I like that a lot.
That's what it is. It's like, oh my gosh, I just heard this thing. I have to tell you, right?
I'm into that.
Yes. So your Venus in Aries, she attracted to bold people, right?
Mhm.
Brave people,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
She also infatuates kind of quickly. Shut up, you know she do.
Oh my God. I gotta tell you, in all of my relationships, it's from 0 to 100. Like when I'm in, and I've dated like 3 Aries, an Aries moon. I date a lot of Leo placements. Like I go really fast.
Oh yeah, so it's interesting because you've got this one thing in fire essentially.
Yep.
Right? High one thing in fire. So she's super attracted to fire, but then everything else about you is like air, earth, water, right?
Yes.
Like smooth, chill. I don't know. I don't want to run around the block. Thank you.
Right, right. I mean, I'm good Lord. So I've been super overweight my whole life, and I went and fasted in Peru for 44 days this past summer.
Wow.
And then that's when I like lost all of this weight, and now this Venus and Aries in me loves working out. It's
Yes.
like
Good.
that's a way that I've turned my impulsiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's more about like, okay, now I'm running to the gym instead of to have sex with somebody.
I know. Right? It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Venus, do you like to work out at home? Have you experimented with that? Venus and
Um, I think it's more that in order to feel comfortable in my home life, I need
Mhm.
to be working out regularly, or else I'm very moody. That Mars and Cancer is going to come out.
Right.
Where,
Right.
whereas before it was like when I have difficult emotions, I would just eat as much as possible. So there's that Venus anxiousness, like
Yeah.
taking something in, and now it's like putting the energy out.
Right. And it's also like a fight with me too. Venus and Aries, she's got horns, right?
Hmm.
She is attracted to fighting, or
The,
right?
the
Or like,
feisty people.
yes,
Oh
yeah.
my God. And given the environment that I grew up in, I mean, we're Cuban, so fire, Latin,
Right,
it's
right.
that's like familiar to me. So thus it's in my fourth house. Like
Yep.
I'm going to couple
Also,
best with spicy people.
Venus in the fourth is a little bit more private, I've found, about with talking about or being open about who they're attracted to, right? Like,
Interesting. You know, because I'm gay, I think that was like a big narrative. Anytime the North Node has transited the fourth house, I mean, it's
yeah,
going through that part of the chart now. So I feel
right.
like I'm at the point where I'm like accepting my sexuality the most I ever have in my life. But
Yes.
the last time the North Node was in Aries, I think I was 11 years old, and I was
Mhm.
like just discovering that I was gay, and I told myself I can never tell anybody.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. No, my husband's bisexual. Mars and Cancer. Hello.
Mars. Yes, well, and I got it in the seventh house, so being attracted to men, that
Yes.
Mars energy.
But you also got that Jupiter there in Libra. Jupiter kind of says more the merrier.
Oh well, there's part of me that's like, if you look at the chart, like Venus is squaring Neptune and Uranus.
Yes,
So
independence. Yeah.
yeah, so I feel like maybe something that's shown up a lot is like polyamory.
That's what I was going to ask, because Pisces tends to be that.
So I want like stability and I want security and I want to be monogamous, but then there's this other narrative that's like, are you polyamorous? I tend to get into age gap relationships. I have had an affair with a married man before.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's that Uranus squaring Venus, that like
Yes,
those
it is.
chaotic things, and then Neptune being like, highly romanticizing things and maybe looking past some red flags like dating an addict or these kinds of things.
No, totally. Something interesting tidbit. I have a person in my life who also has the same birthday you have.
Oh my God, same year?
No, not same year, just the birthday part. And so he has a 348 degree sun.
Whoa, 1 degree off of mine.
That's right. And also has a square to Venus.
Interesting.
I know. Is also married and unable to do anything with anyone else, which much to my sadness. But still, it's like, oh, interesting. I've seen that Venus square at work, or like the temptation in a very sort of monogamous world that we've previously lived in, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the age of Aquarius starting to open things up. And coming from a Catholic background, my parents are both still married. They have a nice marriage. So there's like this weird juxtaposition between wanting tradition, but
Yes.
also wanting hyper independence and freedom.
Yes. I've noticed that like Pisces suns people, they don't like to feel separate from those that they care about, right? They really like to feel connected, that all the water is the same temperature. So when like
Mm.
someone comes in with a mood, right, that or something really different that like shocks the water of a Pisces, if they don't agree, then it can feel a little alarming, troublesome.
Yes, I don't think I could have verbalized it quite as eloquently as you. And for me, that translates to like, I never try to control other people. And
Right.
I want everybody to feel like harmonious and in vibe with each other. And the second somebody comes in trying to control myself or somebody else, like it's a shock. That's
Yes.
the fastest way to get me out of the room.
Right, right. Well, and we all know you ghost and shit, because I ain't met the Pisces yet who doesn't go, bye.
Yeah, well, but then we go, bye, hi. Like it's like that weird,
I know.
it's almost like being a Gemini. Gemini and Pisces are very similar in this way.
Yeah, both mutable, right? Both
Yes,
have the this way or that way. I
back
and
or
also,
forth.
yeah, right. I'm consolidating what last season was with the season coming up, right?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm in between seasons, if you will. Don't call me
Yes.
fall when I'm kind of winter too, right?
Yes.
Definitely with all this Capricorn here. So when I see somebody who has Capricorn with that Neptune Uranus there,
Hmm.
that conjunct, psychic vibes it gives me.
Ooh, well, I have to tell you, the more and more I keep working with my shamanic training, the more I keep having psychic dreams, prolific dreams that are prophetic dreams, excuse me. I have had experiences where I've spoken to people on the other side. So, and it's Capricorn, so it's like the older I get, the more of these gifts are going to unfold.
Yes. And your Saturn in Aquarius, it's like the more you dive into astrology, right? Aquarius, sign of astrology, of understanding, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And also moving beyond my ego. Because if you see, Saturn is opposing Chiron.
I do
So
see that.
that Chiron in Leo, it's like that wounded inner child, that wounded ego.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's always going to hold me back from being as psychic as possible. So as long as I can not be reactive and be a little child and stamp my feet and I want it this way,
Yeah.
I'll be more psychic if I can not fall into that.
Right. I did notice the Saturn 22. I have an Aries moon 22 degrees, so it's an exact sextile to my
Oh my
moon.
God, fabulous. So we have there's a great contact there.
Yes, totally. Oh, and the tidbit that I was going to tell you about, So you have a vertex here, a point of the chart. Some people are like, oh, it's fated romantical relationships. And then there are other thoughts though. I've seen vertex definitely used in yes, it was a fated meeting. No, it wasn't romantic, but it definitely taught me something, right?
Okay.
My north node is 29 degrees, Leo.
What?
Not lying.
So we have a vertex north node conjunction.
Yeah, exact. Like
So
to degree.
I do not work too closely with the vertex, so maybe you can fill me in a little bit more on the education behind it.
Yeah, totally. Vertex is one of those things that I still feel is a little bit out for exploration, right? Like the first time I had ever heard about vertex was like, so vertex is like a second other. It's like a second DC. So it means that there's another person in our life who, when they hit this spot, it will change us somehow, or there's some kind of fated meeting of another person who is going to change us in some way.
Interesting.
Yes.
I have to tell you, every Aquarius that has ever entered my life, they are the ones who changed my life in the most positive way possible.
Friendship.
I don't, maybe it's that Saturn at 22, but like Aquarius has come in and it's like, here's all of the beauty and the blessings, and like they're so selfless. And I don't know what it is about y'all, but it always blesses my life. I love Aquariuses.
I know, right? We the dream. Just kidding.
Well, and it is associated with the star card in the tarot, so
I know.
it is very dreamy.
Yes. Well, and it's also like the water bear. So it's kind of like trying to pour out what we learn from astrology onto the world so we can be like, see, this is why, have understanding, right? And Pisces. So what I think Aquarius and Pisces being the last sort of two at the end of the wheel, if you will, we all seek to show each other how we're all actually one. So there isn't actual room for villains, really.
I like that.
Right? I mean, yes, there's there's lots of misunderstanding. There's lots of people that do things, that they follow sort of the shadow side of their chart rather than maybe the lighter side of their chart. And then Pisces and Aquarius is like, Aquarius is the underdog. Let's expose it. What's going on? Right? And Pisces is like, here's how we can be one together. Right? Let's get altered state. Let's get up in the cosmos with our heart brains and let's connect and see what we have in common rather than what we have different.
Yes. And I think about like the age of Pisces, which we've just come out of, and we're in the age of Aquarius now. The age of Pisces saw God as God.
Yes.
Like religion. That's what all the major wars were about. They had to do with religion. Whereas now we're moving to the age of Aquarius, and this is more about like the hive mind. The collective is God. The algorithm or AI might be the next deity, or what the major wars are all about.
Right. I know. I wonder sometimes, because Pluto going into Aquarius, right? It's retro and then it'll come back through. It's like, that's definitely a crisis around global humanity, right? That's definitely going to come into some kind of focus for us. Definitely maybe some new kind of like high technology, because Uranus is going to be in Gemini.
Oh my God. And the Uranus return of the United States.
Oh, I know. When Pluto was, the Pluto return, I was like chewing my nails.
I know, right?
Civil War, what? Right?
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, so Capricorn rising tells me that you felt like you had to be super responsible, super traditional growing up. Definitely somebody who was massively held a torch for it. Vesta, right?
Yeah, I think the older I keep getting, I think I very much have lived out that Venus in Venus in Aries energy, and like being very impetuous and impulsive. And as I age, I think I'm becoming more Capricorn.
Yeah.
But that Capricorn rising with that Vesta there, like holding that Catholic conservative Cuban thing, not wanting to break the mold by being gay,
Right.
you know. And then Vesta being on the ascendant, like the thing that I need to be the most devoted to is myself.
Yes.
That Venus is definitely like an escape valve for like, oh, care about other people more, running into traumatic relationships or you
Mm-hmm.
know, crazy sexual pursuits or whatever.
Yeah.
As I keep growing up, I'm like, oh, I'm the thing I need to love the most, and then I can share it with other people.
Yeah, like it has to come from a stable place, right? But
Hmm.
Capricorn is also rather altruistic. When I rise, we all rise,
Yeah,
right? It has this climbing the mountain and then desiring to help others climb the mountain.
yeah. Well, and as a spiritual life coach, like I get great satisfaction out of healing people and helping people change. And I think a lot about all the time, like in a weird way, I'm like Capricorn's the daddy sign, you
It
know.
is. It is.
So it's like I want to be everybody's daddy. Like I want to help people, you know, achieve their potential. And like I'm the Astro daddy. That's my
I
podcast
know.
name.
I love it. It's perfect. We have that Capricorn Astro Daddy. It's perfect. No, I love that. And then yeah, Saturn's in the sign of astrology, right? That Aquarius astrology. So you have a strong desire to fix social systems, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to tackle with my career. I'm planning on writing a book about astrology soon, and wanting to create a lot of social change. And then down the line, like talk about deeper themes like racism and
Right.
prejudice, and you know, the
Right.
whole confusion that people are having against trans people. And like
Yes.
that's an ego thing. Like if you don't agree with it, like my Saturn in Aquarius is like, it doesn't matter if you agree or not, just let it go.
Yeah, right. It doesn't matter. The reality is, says Saturn in, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
reality of social situations is this, right?
exactly. And it's like, if somebody's choosing something, why are you attached to what somebody else is doing? That's such a Saturn and Aquarius thing. Like, let people do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not hurting you. So like, be
Right.
free. You know, be yourself.
I think that's why I started this, sort of sexier vibes of astrology, right? Looking at things is because I like the validation of I grew up in massive purity culture. I have the biggest Virgo stellium ever,
Mm.
right?
Oh,
I
no
know.
way.
I know. I was massively into purity culture, that whole thing
Oh
when
my
I was
God.
growing up.
Did you grow up religious as well?
Oh yeah, super religious. In fact, everybody else was weak compared to me.
Ah! Oh my God, I love it.
I know. I was a missionary. That's, I got to travel, stuff like
Oh
that.
my God. I
Yes.
love Virgo placements, so it makes
I
sense.
know. I'm like up in your ninth house, right?
Yeah,
Like up
expand
over
me,
here.
baby.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, Virgo with words. Let me prescribe you. Just kidding.
My parents are both Virgos and they're both medical doctors, so that's really funny.
Oh my God. And you have a sun and moon in together too, but
Yep.
in the opposite sign, which is where you are. So that's really interesting.
Hmm.
Um, I've heard it said that when people have the sun and the moon together, right, like a new moon, that the mother and father tend to be in agreement about something. In fact, the other new moon I know is an Aquarius, and his parents were super religious too, Catholic growing up there. So
Yeah, yeah. I think for
mhm,
my parents, that conservatism and like also
yeah.
both being very devout to medicine and logic, and yet here I am, like the antithesis of them.
But you heal in a way that they could not heal, right? Because Virgo is the analytical, prescriptive details, plant medicine, right? Like that's what it's kind of doing. And then Pisces is like soul medicine.
Yeah, I like to think of it as like taking a prescription versus atoning for your sins. You know, because
Yes.
Pisces, we're guardians of atonement. We make a lot of mistakes because we're just head in the clouds, so we're constantly messing up. So we
Yes.
get really good at apologizing or forgiving people.
Oh, you know what's interesting too? You've got Vesta here, right? Conjunct your AC up in that
Right,
12th house, it's kind of up into the 12th, right? For a little 12th housey vibe.
right.
But Vestal virgins, they were the few who had the capacity to forgive sins, right?
Oh, I didn't know
They would
that.
get people off of death row as a
Oh
part
my
of their
God.
things, right? As a part of, I'm only giving up sex from 3 to 30, right? but they could pardon sins of gladiators, right? So get people off of death row. And so when I see Vesta, so a part of your self, your spiritual ego self, is to the forgiveness of sins, right? Like,
I'm getting chills because what I'm going to be doing when I move back to California, and I move back the first week of June, I'm going to be finding a lawyer and creating my religion and combining ayahuasca and shamanism together, and then begin preaching, about healing. My religion is going to be about self-improvement, healing, and atoning for your sins.
yeah, that is perfect, right? That self-love, Venus, Aries.
Mm,
Venus, Aries. So my mom is a very religious, devout. She fights me all the time with her religion, right?
right.
And she is an Aries sun, Venus, Mercury in her ninth house. So she is right about her political views, her
Mhm.
religious views, everything, right?
Which
She's
house did you say it was?
what?
Which house did you say it was?
Oh, it's in her ninth, right?
Oh,
So
wow. So
law,
also, yeah.
yes. And so she's like, fight me on it,
Oh
right?
my
And then I'm
God.
a Aries rising and moon. So I'm like, I'm your huckleberry. That's just my game, right? And so, but this is one of the ways in which astrology helped me. I understood that her, in particular, Venus, Aries, ninth house, a part of her love language is to fight, is to
Mm,
headbutt, right? The nice thing about Aries is Aries, it's a quick, right? It's like a quick gut reaction, but it's not a long lasting, frustrated, angry, it's
yeah.
very short, and it respects a good move, right? So if you're fighting someone and they have like a good point, then it's like, oh damn, that was a good move.
Uh-huh. We do like that shit, which is
Yeah.
part of the reason why there's such an attraction between Aries and Libra, because
Yeah.
Libras are very thoughtful and methodical.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I
mhm.
find for myself, like, because I've got that Mars in Cancer, I fight with my family a lot.
Yes.
It's just a
Yes.
natural kind of thing. But with
Yeah.
that Venus and Aries, like, it's familiar to me. Like, there's just an energy of having conflict or friction that
Right.
makes sense with the people you love. Like,
Right.
you tell the people you love the most what you're really thinking.
Right.
And so I get angry maybe kind of frequently when it comes to my personal life, but it,
Mhm.
it burns in just as hot as it goes out. So it's like
Yeah.
constantly relieving the pressure.
Right. Yeah, totally. And when you see Rams, all they got to get is one good hit, and then the other person's like, dope, I'm good. You win that, right? Like,
Uh-huh. That makes sense.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, your Mars. So I have an 8 degree. My Venus in Pisces is 8 degrees, and it's exactly trying your Mars here.
So you can understand me.
Yeah, the desire to love too, right? Like, yes, I can fight with my family, but I also love,
Hmm.
right?
I always imagine as Mars is like, where are you putting your foot down on the pedal? Like, what are you driving towards?
Right. Hmm.
So in the seventh house there, I imagine that like I'm constantly driving towards other people, clients, helping people, doing what I can to be helpful. And then it's also in Cancer, so like being devoted or driving towards family, but it's still Mars, so that can still turn into friction when it comes to family.
No, it's totally true. And make you feel, kind of up and down, a little moody about family, right?
Yeah,
But
I
I've also noticed that Cancer kind of has like this interesting psychic, like family history.
and I do.
Yeah, right? It's
That's
like,
funny you say that.
yeah, tell me about it.
So my mother, she's a Virgo, so she doesn't read too much into it, but she has prophetic dreams all the time. At the last election, she dreamt that, the president now was going to win the election. And in that same dream, she dreamt that my sister was pregnant with a baby girl. That ended up being true 4 days before we even knew.
Wow.
So she's always had that kind of thing going on. My mom's grandmother, so my great grandmother, was a spiritual healer in Spain. She read
Mm,
tarot cards, she had prophetic visions. And then so her father-in-law, who's also related to me, he had his right side of his face was completely deformed.
mm,
he had full-blown psychic visions to the point where if he was having a vision, he could take somebody's hand and show them what he was seeing. And he predicted people's deaths. He saw things like, so we've got a long lineage of psychic energy that comes from Spain and Cuba in my family.
Oh, that's interesting. My husband's mom has a son in Cancer, and she also has like the ability to know things, like just know things.
Yeah. And when you combine that Cancer, because Cancer is not just like family, it's also feelings, whether
Yeah.
that's like gut feelings, intuition, or emotions.
Mhm.
So that Mars there, it's like there's a drive to try to see, like, to perceive or intuit what's going on.
Mhm.
And given that it's Mars, well, what's Scorpio doing in my chart? That's where my midheaven is.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm really using this the most in my career.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's extreme transformation, right? That Pluto up in that 11th, right? So
Yes,
extremely deeply transforming the globe, right? Humans, communities. It's your greatest hope and wish that everyone could be vulnerable, right?
absolutely. And when I think of the midheaven in Scorpio conjunct Pluto, like ayahuasca shaman who uses astrology and helps people transform their lives, it's kind of exactly the sauce.
Yeah. Also, I looked up to Psyche, where Psyche is in your
Oh,
chart.
and Scorpio.
It is. It's like right in between these two.
Yes, and then I believe Eros is in Capricorn.
Yeah, Eros is right here. Yeah, in Capricorn. Okay,
Yes.
so I have Eros in my first house as well, Aries,
Yes.
but it's above my ascendant, so it's kind of up in my 12th a little bit.
Aha.
And so I'm definitely attracted to priests, right?
Oh,
Right?
you
Or
have a hot spot for that.
yeah, or people who are hiding, right? People
Mm.
who view eroticism as an enemy. My Aries likes to pursue them and like help them to, you know.
I can also see that being incredibly sexy to you with all of the Virgo in your chart.
Oh yeah.
Like you're like, ooh, you're pure, but I
Hmm.
know everything that's pure also has a freaky side, and you want to experience what freaky is when it's unbridled and pure.
Yes, exactly that, right? Something I had to grow into though, because Virgin, sign of Virgo, right?
Uh-huh.
Something I had to grow into, sort of understanding freak
Yes.
flag.
Where is your Saturn?
My Saturn is in Virgo. So it goes Jupiter 8. I know Jupiter. So it goes Jupiter, Mars 14,
Right.
and Saturn 26.
Oh my God, that is a sexy little stellium.
It is, and it's in my 6th house every day, baby. I'm a
Oh my
slave
God.
to it.
So you probably really, really get into kink.
Yes.
For me to like learn a little bit more about that side of things, you're falling in my ninth house there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot that I could learn, or you could kind of expose me to, or bring to my attention in these things.
Yes. Well, my first thought is like when I see Jupiter in Libra, that's like that tells me definitely more the merrier, right? That's like Libra to me. Also, I found that Libra, because I get to interview everyone, Libra
Right.
is the least straight of the zodiac.
I would agree with that. They're all kind of bisexual. Gemini, I feel like, is second place.
Yeah, 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 because the curiosity.
Yes, but then they like, there's also heavy denial of it.
Yes,
Whereas Libras are like, yeah, like let's kind of just go.
because Venus ruled, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, ooh, you eye candy.
Yes, yes. And that Jupiter and Libra, like opposite of that Venus and Aries, there's such a dichotomy because I'm like, I'm masculine and feminine, but that Venus is in Aries, so
Yeah.
it's masculine and you know what I mean?
Oh, and she in charge of that Jupiter, right? She's like
She's calling
telling
the
Miss,
shots.
yeah, telling Jupiter what you can do right now, right? And
Right.
then Jupiter and Libra. Libra likes to be told she's a good girl.
Oh my God, that's such a big kink for me.
Ah,
I
yeah.
really like positive affirmation.
Yeah. Every every Libra ever, right?
Like just affirm me, say nice things about me, tell me you like my body, like
Yes, telling you like my shirt, telling me everything, right?
mhm.
Give it with sass, Venus and Aries, right?
Well, and also Jupiter and Venus being opposing each other like that I think how we're saying Venus is kind of telling that Jupiter what to do.
Yeah.
As I'm starting my own church or my own religion, you
Yeah.
know, I believe this is really going to solidify when Neptune and Saturn both move into Aries.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going to be happening, I believe, at the beginning of next year.
Yeah. Happening
And
quick.
yeah, it's going. So in my
Mhm.
chart, you know, Jupiter is very much like religion and churches and, you know,
Beliefs.
beliefs.
Mhm.
And to have that Venus there in the fourth house, it's almost like guiding, like for
Yeah.
me to have my own church or my own space, working from home, guiding
Mhm.
people in the space that I'm living from to expand them in a more public way.
Yeah, bringing like justice around beliefs. And Venus, Aries, that's paving the way, right? That
Well, and I'm
is,
starting a new religion.
yeah, let me pull out my, if there is no pathway, let me pull out my machete and make a pathway,
And that's
Aries.
maybe I will do it.
I know. Something else about, so I also have a Venus opposite Jupiter, right? Venus in Pisces.
That's right. Ooh, that is an
Mhm.
interesting
They're
opposition.
yeah, they're an exact opposition. So that means that, I mean, the way I understand it, it's kind of like a choice between following your heart or a choice between following your beliefs or your wealth or what gives you success, right?
Right.
So to balance those out, people who have this, they have to make, I mean, other astrologers would call it hobbies, right? You have to make your hobbies your career.
Right. Right.
So we have to make our passion our career.
That makes a lot of sense. Venus being passion.
Yeah, you're gonna ask me to choose between my heart and my beliefs. They're the same.
Mm, that makes a lot of sense. And I also notice people with Venus opposite Jupiter are very playful, very
Yeah.
impetuous. Like uh, Jupiter is like when you throw that gasoline on something and light the fire.
Yes, yes.
So you're putting that with Venus, the planet of socializing and love and fashion and very artistic, creative, and stylish people who love sex.
Yes, yes. Exactly that, right? Man, my Mars Jupiter, give me more,
Oh my
right?
God. So that Mars Jupiter conjunction in Virgo feels it's an interesting mix between sometimes you want to be the dom top dominatrix like
Yeah, yeah.
that, but then other times it's still Virgo. So there is also the sub you can be
Yes.
both, but when you're playing one role, you want to play that role the whole time.
Oh, yeah, totally, right? And it's like it's a service, right?
Yes.
So I am spiritually Venus serving you.
Yeah.
And then I'm serving you in a practical way. I'm making this tangible. And my BDSM test is I'm a brat tamer, right? Where
Mm.
it's like, oh yes, be bratty, see if I can handle it, right? I know.
So that opposition would also lend yourself very well to being like a sexual healer or somebody
Yes.
who like you're dealing with people's childhood traumas and like
Yes.
yes. So I
Mhm.
could see it's almost like being a like a therapist garbage man
Yes.
or
Yes.
what you know
And
pulling
then I'm like,
out
oh, you thought that was garbage. No, we can turn that into something
into
else.
a kink. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, what a beautiful opposition.
Yes. No, I love it. I mean, it does mean though too that like Jupiter, so husband, right, is on one side, but then I also have like a soulmate longing, oh my God, fucking Venus, Pisces tie
Uh-huh.
to
Oh
other.
God.
Yeah, you know, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
All of the loves of my life, they're like unavailable for one reason or another.
yes. Another issue with the Venus opposite Jupiter, right? Like, damn. But then we end up learning, though, deep spiritual truths as a result, right? We really understand how to love, if you will,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
And to have it in Pisces, like your love knows no bounds.
None. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's just such a fabulous little
Yeah.
conjunction. Where's your Chiron?
I have Chiron second house Taurus resources.
Ah, oh my God. So there's something about pleasure, sensuality, and beauty that, especially coming into this world, that was incredibly painful for you.
Yeah. So she's an exact sextile to my Venus 12th house, right? So
Oh,
repressed, right?
yes.
Yeah, they're both 9 degrees, so they're in exact sextile. But Venus
Interesting.
rules the house of my Chiron, and she's exalted, so she can go, "Oh yes, what a painful thing. Here's how we've used it for good. Here's how we're gonna talk about it with other people," right? Um,
Mm,
Yeah, my Venus in Chiron. She grew up. I had a problematic grandfather,
Okay.
who I did not. You don't want to attract that. You know what I mean? Like he did not do some good things. With my mom's everybody, right?
Right. Right.
So that was a problematic sort of being attractive, wounds around being attractive. Also, growing up religious, having all that Virgo, right?
Right.
Is you're responsible for the fall of guys around you because you're pretty, right?
Mm. And then
So
that being like a big shadow of like needing to mute yourself.
big time,
Oh
right?
my God.
I know. And so now that I realize it, or now that I see it, the older I get, the closer I get to my Venus in that 12th. And so the more I understand,
Oh
right?
my
Like,
God. That makes
yeah.
so much sense.
Yes. So now I use all that pain, right? Same way that you do, right? All that pain that you kind of went through, but that grew you the fuck up, right? All of that stuff is now used for the benefit of the greater good, right? The benefit of the forgiveness of sins, right? Kink,
Mm.
let me punish you. You need it. There's right because there's something about being punished, right? Where when somebody's consenting to be punished, right? They feel like they've done something wrong. It's like you can give them that punishment, whatever it
Mhm.
is, but then change it to a now go forth and sin no more. You're Jesus. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, I find Gemini and Virgo placements are really comfortable with the concept of punishing or being the punisher or being punished.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People who like to be punished, Leos do not like to be punished. They like to be begged.
Uh-huh, they do.
Please, right? Like they,
Yes.
uh-huh, uh-huh. So beg them, right? It's kind of like what I say. Um, and then so people who like to be punished are actually Scorpio, and it's not that they want necessarily to be hurt, but they need some kind of expression for these deeper, darker, crunchier things, right?
Mm,
And it is a Mars sign, so something about being stealthy about the way that one punishes, right?
yes. Or the other side of that coin could be having like a power kink or needing to be in control or
Right. It's interesting. You would think Mars and Scorpio people would be more wanting to be in control. They're
but
not.
they like to be penetrated a lot of the time.
Yes, they like to be penetrated unless it's in the first house. I have interviewed a dominatrix who had Mars first house Scorpio, and she was the penetrator, not the E, right?
Yeah, she's holding the sword.
Yes. And she would like to be in control more, right? But she had like her moon there, Neptune. She had a couple of things popping up in that first house. So
Yeah.
more control.
Well, I'm
Um,
curious to ask you, what is the symbol at 7 degrees Scorpio on my chart? I'm not familiar with that one.
oh, this one, Nessus here.
Yes. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because that's opposing your Chiron. So I'm curious how we're touching each other there.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay, so abuse. Chiron is wounds, and Nessus is abuse that we endured growing up in some way. It can kind of be verbal things.
Hmm.
It's a really interesting one, right? But so Nessus is a centaur, also like Chiron,
Right.
and Nessus, what used to take Hercules' wife across a river every day, right? On a ferry. That's the lore. I'm doing this, right? One day, there's two stories about it. Either Hercules' wife wanted to get a little bit freaky with Mr. Nessus, and so they form an attachment or romance. Hercules gets jealous as fuck and then goes and murders Nessus, right?
Aha.
Other story is she didn't want it, and Hercules murks him because, how dare you take advantage of my wife? Either way,
Sure.
you've got somebody who is like patriarchal, controlly, sort of masculine, dominant, sort of thinking they're going to save you, but it ends up being abuse in some way. So
Aha.
Nessus is where we experience sort of misunderstandings, right? We experience some form of abuse, and then we have the choice to either learn from that abuse and not keep doing the thing, and we heal
Aha.
the thing instead. So it's like Chiron in that way.
Yes. And this is making a lot of sense. My mom has her Jupiter in Scorpio at like 5 degrees.
Oh,
And
okay.
so there's a huge generational trauma in our family. My great grandmother and my grandmother grew up during the Spanish Civil War.
Yeah.
So there was not enough food. They like this whole concept of food being such a big thing. And then my mom grew up, bulimic with an eating disorder. And
Mm,
then I grew up with a really severe eating disorder where I was the hungry ghost and never stopped eating.
right.
So it's, my mom had a bit of a temper as well growing up.
Mhm.
That's, I think, has to do with like the whole lineage of, not being cared for or taken care of with when you have this thing that's kind of bleeding a problem.
Right.
So
Totally.
I view that Nessus placement as an extension of the eating disorder and the just the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like you can learn from the abuse or keep doing it
Yes, because
yeah.
my parents never ended up getting help with their diet or anything. They're both Virgos, doctors. They got
Yeah.
lap band surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it fixed the problem, but it didn't fix the underlying thing.
But it didn't fix and then Pisces is concerned with fixing underlying,
Yeah,
fixing the mental health, the emotional, spiritual health, right? The chakra health, because that
absolutely.
matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, so that Nessus placement, I've never heard that before. And that would also be sextiling my son then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Totally.
So there's something about identifying really heavy with that kind of maybe feeling abused
Yeah.
or like ego, which would also kind of go with the Chiron in Leo.
Yeah, Chiron and Leo. Something else about Chiron in that eighth house too. It's interesting because in like the Placidus, it's like a little bit different, right? It's like
Mhm.
it combines your 10th, ninth, and eighth house,
Right.
right? Which is like really interesting. That's definitely beliefs and my beliefs around equity, equality, justice, right? Falls into your ninth house. So you have to teach it. You have to teach what equity really actually means, right?
Mm.
Like that's a passion. And then eighth house around profound, transformative, sexual, money issues matters, right?
Yes. What is that asteroid at 14 degrees Leo?
So Pholus, that's another centaur, if you will, half horse, half person. And what this one is Pholus represents where we uncork something too early, or like where we shoot ourselves in the foot or have the potential to shoot ourselves in the
Mm.
foot. So this would be like shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to wounds, right? Or
I
like
mean, for
mhm.
me, I can tell you exactly what this is.
Okay, okay.
My wounded ego.
Wounded ego.
So whether this is like wanting to eat too much food or getting angry too quickly. I just had coffee with a woman the other day and she's spilling her guts about all the trauma she's been through. I never met this woman, my wife, before, and I just got pissed off.
Yeah.
I got mad because I was like, I don't even know you, and like you didn't ask me
Trauma
because it's
dumping.
yes. But
Mhm.
then it turns out like there's just a lot of things that went into this situation where I kind of embarrassed myself because this woman helped me in so many different ways afterwards. She had a connection to like this giant group of shamans and everything. And like
Mhm.
I was so embarrassed because
Mhm.
my wounded ego was upset that she didn't ask me a single question about me and just went straight into her story. So I shot myself in the foot because she was an important contact.
Right. Interesting. Right. And to you being on a stage or in front of people somehow, right? Like that
Mhm.
Leo.
Yeah.
Oh,
So my biggest thing that always sets me back is anytime I get mad or my ego is getting bruised or hurt, it always bites me in the ass later. So that Saturn in Aquarius is like, let it go. Train
yeah.
very like drop the ego.
Yeah. Now you understand it. Good. Right. And then your Pisces is like, did you alchemize it though?
Oh my God, I'm still working on that one.
I know. Did you? Did
Oh my
you?
God.
Yeah,
Um,
I
and
know.
then I am very curious about this 9-degree Virgo because, from my understanding, I don't have anything in Virgo ever. I went through the first 151 asteroids. I think I had one asteroid in Virgo and nothing else.
So this isn't an asteroid. It is the antithesis usually to Black Moon Lilith, right? So we've
Okay.
got Black Moon Lilith, and usually they're right across from each other because they're points in a chart. They're not actual like thingy things,
Okay.
objects in the sky, right? So Priapus is here, And Black Moon Lilith is here, right? Black
Right.
Moon
Conjunct the
Lilith.
moon.
Right. I know,
Oh my
right?
God.
You feel like an outcast every time you share your inner world. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm a big slut.
I know,
I have been
right?
historically, at least.
If you can have an empowered Black Moon Lilith, like if you can have that, I have Black Moon Lilith exactly conjunct my Saturn. So when I lay down boundaries, I'll feel like, oh, I'm going to make the other person upset with me. And so I have to like be down with being sexy, because I'm definitely excommunicated from my very not being a very sex positive person, right? In my family. So Priapus, that's what this 9 degree is here. And Priapus represents where we feel impotence in some way, right? So maybe with your Virgo sun parents, you feel like, how is it that I can't get through to you? It's falling on deaf ears.
Oh my God. I mean, the most literal example I can give you is my parents both had lap band surgery.
Oh, right,
And
right.
when you are an ayahuasca shaman, if somebody has lap band surgery, it's contraindicated with ayahuasca. You can never do ayahuasca if you've had lap band surgery. So it's like they can't ever, like, I feel like this all the time. Like they can't get into my world. Like there's just always something that's divorcing them from it.
Oh my God. You know, so the lore with Priapus, right? Greek mythology, it was the god of fertility of fruit specifically.
Okay.
And he was this like a satyr, right? So like half goat, half human.
Right.
And he's got this huge phallus. He's always drawn with this huge phallus. But Hera cursed him to never be able to remain, like he can never he can never climax.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
with Virgo placements, like all of my Pisces stuff, like it holds no weight.
No, it's like you're saying, I have this huge, amazing dick. No, I really do. And then, like, when it comes down to it, you just can't, right?
No, and it makes sense that is it Priapus? Is that how you pronounce it?
Priapus, yeah,
That
Priapus.
Priapus would be here in Virgo in the ninth, because the thing that's always going to expand me the most, ninth house,
Yeah.
is the Virgo things of life, details, structure, the practical side of things. Because I've already mastered the Pisces stuff. I've got it down.
Yeah.
The bigger stretch is actually like paying my taxes on time. And
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah, it's like plant medicine, right? Like, so that's the way I wanted to be, hey, shaman too. And like I wanted to be when I was a kid. I wanted to live in a tribal community in the middle of a jungle, and I wanted to know the medicine of every plant.
well, that's what my training in Peru was this past summer.
Yeah, right. So it's like it makes, so basically what you're going to be doing, and maybe when you start your church and all that stuff, this will be a part of it, is it makes the intangible tangible. So you're taking Pisces concepts, awareness, everything that you have understood, and then you're like, oh, you feel tortured, right? Or oh, you can take something that is obscure, a mental, physical, emotional sort of thing, and then prescribe something tangible so that the person can move through. Like I'll do rituals, right, where I'll do like a candle lighting or a burning something, right? To you were known, you knew yourself as this way before this. We're burning that shit, and now we know ourselves as this way. So it's like making a prayer tangible. That's what Virgo is. That's what Virgo is. It's making a
Okay.
prayer tangible. It's saying, imagine this represents this, and this represents this, right? Two things, two physical things.
Yes.
And now we're going to do something with those things so that you have an understanding of healing.
And by that token, Pisces makes the tangible into a prayer.
Yes.
Oh my God. This
Yes.
makes so much sense, because what I'm doing is I'm writing a book that's taking all of the teachings of astrology and bringing it into a very practical, physical way.
Right. That's what you have to do, because, it's Mercury ruled, right? In Virgo, you've got Mercury trying to make heads and tails. But then hopefully you have somebody who's helping you write the book too, because like a Mercury Pisces can have a hard time Virgoing out, right?
Well, I literally just got off of a meeting with my mentor before we jumped onto this call. She's helping me structure the book. She wants me to get a publisher,
Yeah.
like the whole thing. So I've
Perfect.
got some, and she's a Sagittarius, so it's on my North Node too.
Oh, yes, right? She's like super on the north and 12th house. Ooh, she could get it published in other countries for you, right?
Oh
Like,
my gosh, she already wants to get it. Like I was just like, oh yeah, I want to write this book, and she's like, my spirit guides literally told me you have to write this book. Like it's supposed to be a very successful book.
interesting. Well, and Sagittarius is like abroad. Other cultures will be informed by the karma you're working through, right?
Well, and that very centaur energy, like take all of the shit that you've been through and then throw it in the cauldron and use it for the greater good.
The greater good. That's what Aquarius Pisces be all about, right?
Yeah. Oh
Oh,
man.
well, I know we didn't talk like a whole lot about like sexy stuff, but like some sexy things,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I can give you the speed round. I'm a total verse. That Jupiter and Libra. I like topping, bottoming. I like it all.
All the things,
All
right?
the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to intimacy and relationships and sex, like that Mars and Cancer rings very true. Like I love a lot of kissing and eye gazing, and very Cancer and Pisces.
Yeah, totally. I've noticed with Mars in Cancer, there has to be sort of this psychic connection first.
Hmm.
And then also there's like a hardness to the rubbing. You have like more of um a softer though. Pisces will give a little bit of a softer, right?
Well, but the Venus and Aries, Mars and Cancer, I like it hard. I like
Yeah,
heavy
hard.
contact.
Yes, right? Super. And so, yeah, something about that. Yeah. And then water wants to be the same with the water that it's around, right? And Venus, she a little ego though, right? She a little hello, notice me, notice me. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
If somebody's not like pursuing me, I don't give them time. I'm just like, I'm not going to chase you because I've chased enough in my life. Like, if you're interested, you can show me.
Yes. I think a dark Venus in Aries chases, right?
Mm.
It,
Well,
it,
that's the shadow that I've lived
yeah.
in my whole life. I finally have healed that up.
Yeah, same here actually. My Pisces Venus swim away when they're coming at me too obvious.
Yeah.
But Aries likes a chase though. They do like a chase. So if there is something a little bit that they have to fight for to get, then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, a
We
little
wanted there
enticing.
to be like the sword and the stone kind of thing. Like, I was the one who came along and got you to stop being in trauma and got you out of that marriage that's toxic, or,
Yeah.
we like to run uphill.
Oh my God. Big time.
Oh my God.
Huge time.
Well, I just got to tell you, it's been such an honor to get to talk to you
Oh,
about astrology. And I love your energy. I really hope you can come on my podcast.
I know. I hope so too. That'd be awesome. Uh,
So
yeah, maybe. So I have like some family in like Sacramento, but yeah, it's like it is a trek, right?
it is, but we're going to put it out there. And
Yeah.
your energy is just so fun. I get the Aries Aquarius energy. It's shining through you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much. Yes, I know, right? Same for you. I definitely see like a Libra-y, right? I definitely get like it's interesting that Jupiter Libra is
Yeah,
what like stands out.
at the top of my chart, that
Yeah,
kind of
I
public
think
image.
so. Yeah, it's kind of like what everyone else sees, right? And so yes.
Yeah. And
And
lately I've been meditating on Libra being the sign of charm.
it is.
So I'm like, oh, I've got Jupiter there.
What?
So
I could
like, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, no, I totally my daughter has Jupiter in Libra and she can charm anyone.
oh,
And she's also a more the merrier too. So
well, believe me, I mean, I've had more than merrier in my life. Now I'm like, okay, I need to edit it down a little bit.
yeah, right. Well, that's good, right? It's all good, right? You'll probably go through waves, right? And
I think
swims
so. I
and
think so.
yeah, because really ever the world is spirit is who you are married to, you're connected to, right? Body,
Well,
soul, right?
yes, and that Vesta right on the ascendant, like I feel like, you know,
Yes, devoted to that. What I like to call there's a term called Christ consciousness that I really like.
yes, I love that term too.
I get it. I get that. That's alchemized, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute delight talking with you. Where can people find you again?
If anybody's interested in having a chart reading with me or learning more about ayahuasca, spiritual coaching, or the like, you can find my website at santoscrystalvisions.com, or you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok at santoscrystalvisions. And if you mention that you heard me on the podcast, mention that I said you could get a discount for your reading. So
Oh shit.
message me, I'll give you the discount link. Otherwise, you can just book right through my website and not get the discount.
Yeah. So if you send me that link, I can put it in the podcast notes and people can just click it. Bam, get it.
Perfect. I'll get that to you as soon as we hop off here.
Perfect.
Thank you
Alrighty.
again, Laicy.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for being a light to the world.
And same to you.
Yes. See you later.
Yeah.